So update 210 just came to Payday 2, and it's a fun one for those of us who follow the meta with some interest. Not only did Overkill decide to torment me by buffing the AMCAR after my challenge run was finished, but they also made some quality adjustments to the weaker assault rifles and changed a few scopes to make them more bearable to use. I find changes like this are generally positive and hopefully a sign that Overkill's player data collection is making a difference. The shotgun changes, which were predominantly made to improve performance, have left quite a few shotguns in a weird place. Numerically fine, but not quite as satisfying as they used to be, especially with the damage drop-off considered. Really, shotguns should get their own video, as this one is about all the stuff that's now flat out broken, as some weapons have gone from worthless to complete AR chads. So let's dive into the weapons you should be using as of update 210. First up, we have the Clarion. This one falls into the category of overkill madness, alongside the likes of handing the Union one extra point of damage. The Clarion did not need a buff as far as ARs go, it was already a powerhouse, and so adjustments like this one just puzzle me. It's gone from 41 damage per shot at base to 51, helping it hit some body expertise breakpoints, but more importantly, giving it roughly a 25% faster time to kill. Remember, the Clarion is a crit machine that's always fit well into low blow builds, so really we're looking at a sizable DPS upgrade here, meaning one of the best options out there is just getting better within the class. I'm assuming this was done so that a fan favourite didn't get left behind with all its brothers and sisters receiving big buffs too, but that's how you fail to really shake up the meta. Before update 210, we'll use the Clarion over any other low damage assault rifle, given its huge DPS potential. After the update, we're all still going to use the Clarion over any other low damage option, seeing as it has just got way better too. The AR landscape is still exactly the same. I felt this change tangibly in the couple of hours I spent with the FAMAS since it was buffed, so I strongly recommend those of you who want a crit machine that doesn't even need Berserker to get the job done, give this one a go. This buff was like the Contractor one in early 2021, it's literally taking the best in class option and saying, yeah, I like this. Let's make it better. Next up on my hit list of options for the new meta is the Saga 308 sniper rifle. I've always loved this thing, the WA2000 takes me right back to 2009 and Modern Warfare 2, but it's definitely been outclassed over the years by other snipers in its damage tier. It was pretty cumbersome comparatively, so needed some functional tweaking. Overkill, as usual, have gone all in to make sure that that's no longer the case. Not only has its mag size and reload speed been increased, both fair changes that it sorely needed, it's also seen its ammo pool increase by a whopping 20 bullets, and silently, it's also received a higher ammo pickup rate. This thing is now an efficiency machine. You only need to hit about 1 in every 5 shots to still be ammo neutral. I suppose that helps with accessibility of the sniper class. If you couldn't aim before, try out the Saga because now it will hardly matter. I love snipers, so I'm gonna have a great time abusing this thing over the coming weeks, but this is not balance. This is anarchic imbalance, and I silently love it. The weapon which had the largest damage upgrade and so caught my eye from the get-go was the Bootleg assault rifle. Since Sydney launched, this thing has been trash bad. Anarchist was the draw, certainly not the Bootleg. I think it's because it hails from a time when LMGs were incredibly weak, and it was functionally an LMG and AR hybrid. Of course, LMGs received huge buffs years ago and still dominate the meta to this day, but the Bootleg was forgotten and just left to be kinda bad at everything except having a lot of bullets. Well, at last it's had its LMG styled glow up and is now an absolute monster. The changes were quite simple. Make the Bootleg into an LMG light with hybrid stats, no drop off, and the ability to aim down sight. The result was that they made a new LMG that has none of the downsides of the class and has basically all of the positives. The Bootleg has gone from 40 damage per shot all the way up to 70 and has had its cumbersome reload time reduced to only 3.9 seconds. This came at a steep 6 concealment cost to align it more with its new LMG identity, but Overkill seemed to have forgotten that 14 base concealment is still plenty to work with on crit builds. Ironic, seeing as how they buffed the RPK to a Kknowley 5 concealment in the same patch to grant it easier access to crits. As a result of this, the Bootleg still fits snugly into my standard Anarchist Desert crit build, whilst actually being a functional AR with decent accuracy and stability stats. Basically, an LMG that lands all of its shots and gives easy access to crit. What's not to love? Finally on this list of buff contenders to the throne, we have a new god for all of us meta slaves to worship. The Lion's Roar is now an unimaginable monster. It has functionally perfect stats. 100/100 accuracy and stability, check, it's a laser beam. Superb DPS that's up there with the best weapons across our entire arsenal, check, they gave it 20 extra points of damage in this update. Great handling with a fast reload speed, ammo capacity and pickup rate, check, they cut over a second off its reload animation and gave it 30 more bullets right off the bat. The concealment stats to fit into any sort of build, check and mate. Dragon will be pleased. The Lion's Roar with this sort of setup will melt all comers in a blink of an eye, across any range, on any difficulty, and on any heist. Apparently, people were complaining that classic assault rifles were underpowered. Well, you guys have pushed too hard, and Overkill have cracked by buffing the Lion's Roar into one of the most all-around busted weapons we've ever seen. Give this thing a go if you enjoy winning. All that said, those are my 4 top pick weapons to try out right now, but let's do a quick roundup of my thoughts with regards to this update in general. Overall, I think that the changes to most of the 40 and 60 damage category ARs are generally decent and bring them closer in line with the point of balance. Possibly going with a higher rate of fire would have been a more fun way to go with the low DPS ones, but I can get behind these adjustments for the most part. I also think that the Gecko changes were much needed and are a little more reasonable than the 4 covered here. The crit RPK adjustment is simply fun, and I've already had a blast with a build I'll be sharing with you really soon. As for my all-encompassing impressions of Update 2.10, I prefer buffs to nerfs in most cases, but there has to be a subtler way of going about this. Not every underpowered weapon needs buffs in all categories until everything is homogenized. Instead, emphasizing their uniqueness should be the focus of any adjustments. Give the Bootleg a bunch more damage or fire rate so that it feels more like an LMG, but then also punish its reload speed, don't increase it. Buffs across the board seldom bring us closer to any semblance of balance. It just makes the cops feel gradually weaker until eventually Overkill release Death Sentence Plus, wherein looking the wrong way at a cloaker gets you insta-killed. So to avoid that, let's hope Payday 3 is fine-tuned a little more closely. But at the end of the day, Payday 2 has been around for over 8 years, we've had infinite skill point glitches and a literal money cannon dictating how it's played, so I don't worry too much about the Lion's Roar dominating the meta for the next few months, until Overkill finally decides to buff the spoon into a weapon of mass destruction that we were all asking for. I've read the script. Enjoy 2.10 whilst you can. Update 2.20's where it's really getting wild.
Sleep tight, Dozer.